Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Resilient Voices podcast. Today, we have actor, comedian, celebrity, Daniel Ryan Spaulding.
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming on. I know you just imported yourself from Germany into the U.S., and we're very excited to have you. Thank you for being with us. And you and my dad, I'm happy my dad didn't jump on the excitement that you are originally from Canada. When Canadians meet in the U.S., they feel like it's like two Sylvanians meeting, even though there's a million Canadians here. But thank you so much for coming. And first, before we even get started, thank you for using your platform to stand up for the Jews, and thank you for doing what you're doing. People obviously are noticing, and thank you for continuing every single day to fight for the Jews.
Well, I believe in, I believe in Western civilization, and I believe in America, and I believe in Israel. And I got to tell you, if we're going down with the Jews. Like, there is no America, there is no Western civilization without Jews and without Israel. And I think that people don't really understand the larger big picture to all of this. They don't understand the Middle East. They don't understand history. They don't really understand much. And so I believe in human rights, and I believe I speak out against what is wrong. And October 7th and terrorism and trying to destroy an entire nation is wrong. And so the more we educate people about the reality of what's happening, the more I can only do my part, and I try to do what I can.
Do you feel like you've gotten other people to also do their part because they've been seeing you as a leader?
I don't think so. I think that the American public is incredibly demoralized. I think that people only really care about themselves and their own personal interests. And until that changes, until people start to realize that we're all interconnected and what affects me affects you, and when a hate as vicious and as toxic as anti-Semitism is injected into a society, not just injected into a society, but indoctrinating an entire generation, until we take that seriously, if we're going to keep living in denial of this, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And that is just the reality.
So how has October 7th changed you? How has this there's a lot that same feeling and that same sentiment is very common to a lot of people. They go, oh, it's so bad, it's getting worse, they're coming for us. But then people go, I also have to live my life and I have to continue doing what I'm doing. And they do that. It's clearly changed you. It's clearly changed us, or else we wouldn't be. We had a podcast that was launched for business owners and talking about finance. And that's all we wanted to talk about. Like, we're financial advisors. This is what we do for a living. But all of a sudden, we're like, on October 10th, we're supposed to launch. So October 7th, I said to my dad, I said, we can't launch this podcast. Like, we spent 4 months recording episodes before this. And all of a sudden, we had to do a huge pivot. What happened? Like, what changed in your life, and what did you do differently now?
Right. So I was raised in Vancouver, Canada. I'm not Jewish. My family was, sort of atheist / Christian, but my family was never said anything anti-Semitic to me my whole life. And I had Holocaust education growing up, and I watched Schindler's List when I was a little boy, and I loved all those 90s TV shows like Seinfeld, all that Jewish humor. And so I always thought Jews were great. And as I grew up, as a young adult in my 20s and 30s, I didn't really know anything about Israel and about the Middle East. But from the periphery of what I had heard and sort of seen in the background, I always had the impression that there was Israel and there was Palestine, and Israel's oppressing Palestine. Israel's oppressing Palestine. And I knew a little bit, like, once I was living in Germany, I met, some people that were sort of into the boycott, sanction, divest movement. And I just sort of heard things here and there. I never really understood it. But then I started to meet Israelis in Berlin, and they were so cool and so nice. And I always remembered thinking, like, how could you be such lovely people yet your government is like so evil and treats these Palestinians so terribly. And I got invited to go to Israel, and I really didn't understand it. Like, I didn't know anything, and I didn't understand that. I didn't understand the history of Gaza and the fact that the leadership there were terrorists and a terrorist regime. Same in the West Bank. I didn't know that there were terrorist regimes there. It was like I'd grown up in the West and I just couldn't understand it. And I remember my friend, when I went to Israel, I thought it was so wonderful and lovely. And we went to Bethlehem, and I remember I was at the wall, like the security wall, and I remember thinking to myself, God, why can't you guys just tear down this wall and live together peacefully?
Just all get along. Let's just all get along.
My friend's like, well, there's terrorist regimes. Like, they would come in and kill us all. And I remember thinking, oh my God, he's so ignorant. Like, they treat you terribly. They're terrorists because of how badly you treat them. Because you have this wall here and you dehumanize them with these checkpoints. Like, that's how powerful the indoctrination was, and the reversal of cause and effect. I didn't know about any of the history. I didn't know they had been offered peace deals. I didn't know about the intifadas. I didn't know about Iran and the other proxies in the Middle East. I didn't know anything. But, and it took me like my next visit before I felt comfortable enough to really ask them, like, about my friends about it. And they told me the history. And I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Because I remembered, like, I'd seen peripherally, like, a little bit of like coverage of Al Jazeera or stuff like that. I never really got into a lot of the propaganda, like the stuff on Facebook and stuff. But I remember there was this moment where I had asked another friend, I was like, well, I just feel really bad about the way your government treats the Palestinians. She was like, what do you mean? I was like, well, like in Gaza, they're in an open air prison. And she was like, Daniel, their leadership is a terrorist regime. We don't do anything to them. We have a security border because their leadership is a terrorist regime. And I had this moment where I was like, oh, terrorists lie. Okay, I get it. I get it. Of course, these nice people living here aren't secretly these, like, evil, like vicious, like sadistic people. Like, it's propaganda. It's propaganda because they want to destroy Israel. So I remember thinking, oh my God, like, I must have been the only person who thought that. Like, I'm so stupid. And then I kept.
Unfortunately, no. Unfortunately, You're not the only one that thinks that.
And so I kept visiting Israel, and I ended up like spending a lot of time there, having beautiful friendships. I'd go and do my show and perform very often. And I got a little bit of judgment for it, but people don't really come to your face and confront you and judge you. They do it sort of behind your back. They might say things here and there about being, supporting colonialism or whatever stupid thing they were saying.
My mom is Persian Afghani, so I'm a white colonizer from the U.S. and Canada.
So I ended up, I was in Israel a week before October 7th doing my show, because I was already sort of popular there before everything happened. And then October 7th happened, and I saw the reaction, and I just it was like this veil had been pulled, the veil had been lifted. And I saw, I had no idea that this had been building for so long, this campaign to destroy Israel. I had no idea people hated Jews so much. I had no idea there was this big jihadist conspiracy to try to destroy Western civilization. And the world is still blind to it and asleep. And I just can't believe it. The more I learn, the more I'm like, how are we not talking about this in mainstream media? And we are, but it's just Republicans who know.
It's so unfortunate, but it's such an amazing thing that you're saying, because it's like you have to you're not Muslim. You don't live in Palestine, but you still had this indoctrination that Israel is an apartheid state and the Jews are bad people. So it's not like this is part of your actual education, but the cultural education puts that on you.
It's in the periphery of your mind
the whole time.
They created ideological barriers.
I have a friend of mine, a close friend of mine. He says he's a successful banker at Wells Fargo, and at the beginning of the war, he helped donate money to Israel. We were feeding the families in Israel, and he says to me, and Dad John says this to me, John, the other day, he goes, I feel really bad. I don't know anything, but I feel really bad that my money went to support killing of the Palestinians. I said, you gave money to soldiers who were like fighting for their existence, and like a soldier that loses their leg is literally doing that so he can save his family. And it's a completely different mind shift. And I had to explain to him, what is Hamas? What is the Muslim Brotherhood? What does this actually mean if you take away the walls? And he was just like, I felt like I was fighting an uphill battle. And instead of getting upset with him, it's having conversations. I do think that there is a level of when pro-Hamas supporters or pro-Palestinian supporters say something to you that the pro-Israel supporters and the people who are on this side go, you're an idiot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead of just engaging in conversation and going, here are the facts, like you did. You had friends that opened you up and had those conversations. But the question to you is, you've been able to go into people's minds for a living and change the way they think and see the world. How do we do that?
Well, right now there needs to be change on the governmental level and within culture and within journalism, because there are a lot of people working in collaboration with the Muslim Brotherhood on the left.
100%.
And that is like you can see from the speeches that AOC gives and Ayanna Pressley and Ilhan Omar, they have all the talking points to quote the death toll of the numbers Hamas gives, never mentioning how many of them are combatants, never mentioning that the people counted as children may be Hamas combatants who were 17 years old, never taking into account the fact that Israel does so much to minimize civilian casualties and creates corridors and refugee camps, and never mentioning that the death toll also includes the people killed by Hamas, never mentioning the fact that Hamas steals humanitarian aid, never mentioning the hostages, never supporting the hostage families. All of these things that are so counter to truth and reality, creating this narrative.
But they've been like this for years. They've been very well organized, very well funded to come out with this propaganda and to have this kind of narrative where everything Israel does is horrible. We're evil. We're the oppressors.
No one counters it, and
because you know what it is. You know why? Because we're we're a minority. We're a small population.
Well, then,
and yet you
need to find allies. You need to work at finding allies, and and maybe it's not the allies that you want. Maybe it's not going to be this.
No, we'll take any allies we can find. That's the problem, is to find the ones that want.
The Democratic Party, like the people, the Jews that are being lifted up by culture are anti-Zionist Jews, like Iana Glazer and Jon Stewart. Jews that hate Israel and speak negatively about Israel.
Yep.
And that is one of the biggest problems in the Jewish community, is Jewish Voices for Peace and the anti-Israel indoctrination and the jihadist indoctrination.
You go to a protest, you see the ultra-Orthodox Jews with their long payas, the long coats, protesting alongside Arabs that want to kill us.
Well, that's a specific sect.
But that's all part of the same issue. It's all part of the same disunity that we have.
Yeah, I know that. They are used in the propaganda as well.
Exactly.
And the propaganda is very effective, but you have not effectively, the Jewish community has not effectively explained how this propaganda functions and how it works. You're too in it. You need an outside perspective, and you need help in terms of PR. Like, you're not proselytizing people. You need better strategies. And right now, the biggest support that you have is from the evangelical Christian community, Black churches, and Republicans, because all of this stuff about the Muslim Brotherhood, Ben Shapiro has been talking about it for 10 years.
Yep.
Dave Rubin has been talking about it. Brigitte Gabrielle, everyone on Fox, everyone who watches Fox News knows this. But that's sort of the problem, is that because American politics is so polarizing, the Democrats react to Republicans very negatively. They don't see them as, like, there's such extremism in the United States. People don't see each other as, let's work together and have a collaboration of issues and debate and come up with solutions. It's this game of, let's attack each other, let's demonize each other, let's make money off of how evil, let's like retain power based on attacking each other back and forth. And so people that actually are moral people, like Richie Torres, for instance, he gets demonized culturally and within the left because he's pro-Israel. But really, being pro-Israel is being pro-America, and it's the side of progressive values. Being pro-jihad, being pro-let's destroy Israel is just like the counterculture has gone way too far in this country.
They say let's destroy Israel, and then they burn a U.S. flag. So, they also want to say let's destroy U.S. You don't want to be here. Go, leave. You're burning the U.S. flag. You're telling bring down the U.S. government. Go to Gaza. Go to Iran. I mean, what
you don't understand is when you say that, they hear what a racist xenophobe.
No, but it's exactly.
I'm okay with that.
It's not. You can't be okay with it. That's the mistake.
No, the problem is you don't have young, eloquent, progressive people making the case for Israel. You only have right-wing Republican people and blowhards and Republicans. Richie Torres is like the only really good, eloquent person in the Democratic Party who can really fight and articulate. You need more than just that.
So how do we get more? How do we get more?
You need PR. You need help. Like, you Jews, like you really need help, and Israel also needs help with.
Well, that's always been a big problem with the Jews. Is we've been saying this forever, and I've been saying this since day one. It's like, why are these little pop up celebrities or Jewish celebrities all of a sudden becoming more and more famous? Because they're trying to prop them up. But also, I find a problem with the little ones that just jump up and say, you know what, I'm going to speak, like an Elon Levy, for example. And Elon Levy, for example, goes, I'm going to go debate Mehdi Hassan. Mehdi Hassan is an incredible debater and orator. Like, you can't just go out and debate Mehdi Hassan. You need somebody serious. Like I said, an Alan Dershowitz needs to go in and speak to Mehdi Hassan. Like, you can't, these people will go on Piers Morgan and they'll debate Saint Guru, whatever his name is, and he's an amazing debater. So,
well, I don't think there even should be a debate. I don't think there should be a debate. Like, why are we even giving them the opportunity to make like this point in this case? All we need to do is expose them and explain what's happening. That's what I think.
Yeah, but do you feel that the overwhelming amount of negative media exposing them is enough? Because who are they exposing them to? The more, like, for example, Candace Owens. Mm-hmm. I think nobody should debate her. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think nobody should give her publicity. I was very upset with Shmuley Boteach, what he did. I think it was the worst thing he's done. Mm-hmm. I think that was the worst thing he did. And he put on a horrible display that when he posts on Twitter, I won, he gets 3,000 impressions. And she posts on Twitter that I blew him away, she gets 2 million impressions. That's very bad for the Jews. Mm-hmm. I think that is a very bad look for the Jews. Are you saying, and you know this better than we do, are you saying don't even go on to debate and let them just run the show? Or at least the Jews have to make it up in there or get in there? You
have to create a better story. You have to tell a better story. You have to, like, I really want to do like a travel documentary or a show that's just like about Tel Aviv. and it's like hot and gay and like show like that really like sexy, liberal, gorgeous Tel Aviv and expose all the like tactics that these like communist, socialist, Islamists, like dirty, mean, like just show anti-Semitism as something that's just ugly and soggy and gross. And then Israel is just like sexy and gorgeous and
You mean the way it really is, the way it is.
Yeah, but your imagery right now is Alan Dershowitz and messianic extremists in the West, in Judea, Samaria, being like, the land is for us, like and Hasidic Jews like dancing together, and all this imagery that they use against you is all the worst of Israel and the scary stuff.
I think because of October 7th, we're starting to get that.
Yeah, hold on. I
think we're starting to get that content. We're starting to develop it. People are realizing what you're saying is true. We've had people on the podcast that are saying have said the exact same thing. We're great with high tech, but social media, we stink.
And public diplomacy.
And the whole thing, like what you've been saying. And I think it's starting to develop now, but we're way behind. We're just way behind.
Way behind. And also, you're not building alliances. Like right now, especially the Jewish people that have power and influence in Hollywood, they are very much in their little Hollywood bubble. I don't think a lot of them know much about Israel and know much about the Middle East, but their personal safety and their money and their investments matter more to them than these kids out there who are like really in a lot of danger. And that's a shanda. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Seinfeld is like the only one, but he doesn't even really do it. He just reacts to it. He does a really good job.
Well, then why not use your influence or your money to help like platform other people who are trying? I don't understand why these people watch my videos. They like my videos. Why not help me get on Joe Rogan or something, or another person, or there's Zach Sage who's doing amazing.
Yeah, doing great work.
Like, let's create a show together or do something, but it's because they think they won't make money off of it. Well, I got news for you. People like America and people like living in the West. And as much as it is trendy and sexy, this idea of radical Islam, the reality of it, getting your fucking head chopped off and raped and kidnapped is not fun. And so that's what's coming to America if you don't wake the fuck up. And I'm sorry to tell you, when Facts for Peace did a survey, these people are so demoralized and so dumb. Like, they asked them about Hamas and they said Hamas was evil, but they thought the IDF was almost just as evil. And then they didn't really care about anything except the West is next. That was the one thing that they responded to because it affects them. No one wants jihad in the streets being shot up and people being kidnapped and people being killed. So we have got to find a way to talk about this.
Well, the whole concept of Hamas is ISIS was a very powerful messaging system because they made it real.
Yeah, but at the same time, these kids, they're psycho and they're so dumb and they're so evil, and it's this dumb, evil psycho sort of like cycle that they're in. And they've had 10 years of Linda Sarsour and Code Pink and Nardine Kirswani and these terrorist supporters basically going out into the communities and rallying people and organizing people. And they're so crazy and they're so indoctrinated. And there's been no consequences for them. Like, these people need to be sued or they need to be in prison. Like it's crazy that that the government has allowed this somehow.
Well, that's the big problem is that there's censorship for right wing. There's censorship in but they don't censor terrorism. Like, how is it that the Ayatollah of Khomeini, who's been killing people forever, like, he's not censored? Like, are you kidding me?
Well, that's another thing.
This guy's not censored?
I think that really...
That's an actual murderer. Like, he's an actual mass murderer. Like, he kills his own people on scale. One thing I also want to talk about, just for a second, the 40,000 Palestinians that were killed. They don't talk about combatants, but they also don't talk about the Hamas, who Hamas is killing of their own people.
Yeah.
They don't count that.
No.
That's not in the numbers. Could be 20,000 people that they just killed because they want to take control. You think the people who stand up, all of a sudden they're like, oh, you're good. Don't worry about it. Like if you stand up.
There was a person on LinkedIn. I saw he put a video, a Palestinian criticizing Hamas, that they're stealing and everything. And then 2 days later, I hear on the edges, he was killed.
Yeah, he's not in the 40,000. But going back to what we were saying.
Yeah. No, definitely people are killed by Hamas. They're killed by misfired rockets. The thing is, it ultimately, like, people's minds, anti-Semitism is like a mind virus. Like, there is something in people's brains where they can't process information. They look at things and they absorb it incorrectly. And it's because it's this inconsistent thinking. If they've had 10 years looking at Al Jazeera propaganda and thinking all these horrible things about Israel, and then all of a sudden they see this jihad, this horrific attack that, like, is so stomach turning and horrific. Like, it's like they can't even, they think it's an uprising, or they think it's something that was done because the Palestinians were just oppressed so badly by Israel. And it's so sick, you know? And I think a lot of people see it, but people also need to live their lives and go to work. And, people don't realize, they think it's just a Jewish issue, and they think it's just this thing that happened in the Middle East, and the Middle East is messy and it's this back and forth war. No, it was terrorism. It was jihad. It was radical Islam. It was an act of, we are going to destroy your country. We want Sharia law. It was an attack on the free world. And this is the biggest thing that has not been communicated to people. And people have not understood it, either because they hate Jews, or because they hate America, or because they're just demoralized and they have no morals and they have no empathy. But what October 7th was an attack on the free world. It was an attack on us. It was an attack on any person wanting to live in a free society with all the rights and values and freedoms that we have. It was Sharia. It was infidels will die. It was Jihad Nation. And maybe I'm sure maybe some people hear this and they think, oh my God, you sound so Islamophobic. I'm sorry. This is the truth.
It's not Islamophobic.
They're Islamists.
They happen to be Islamists, or they're from the nation of Islam, but that does not mean what you're saying is you're talking about the extreme of their of Shia and Sunni parties, which is Iran and Iraq and Syria and Yemen. Like, you have the extremists. What you are talking about is the extremists inside, and I find it the same thing that it is. I find that the Jews aren't organized to figure out a way to handle the Notoria Carta. Our people, I feel like it's the Islamists' job. Not just them, but in let's say in their own countries, to figure out how to re-indoctrinate, like they did in Saudi Arabia. What did they do in Saudi Arabia to get rid of the Muslim Brotherhood? Yeah. They eliminated the problem and they re-indoctrinated the schools. I feel like not only, and just from what you're saying, not only do the Jews have a problem that we don't have allies and we need that, but we need to re-indoctrinate our own people. Yeah.
Well, the Nutra Carta, they're a lost cause.
But they're not. They're not.
They're psycho.
That's certain. But the same thing that you yelled at my dad before and put him in his place, and it was the right thing, Dad. I hope you understood that. It was the right thing. The same thing that we cannot give up on them, but we need to go in because their kids are becoming a problem too.
The left-wing anti-Zionist Jews are the real problem.
That's who they are.
It's not the Nutra Carta. No. It's these hipster anti-Zionist Jews, the Jewish
cool ones,
peace,
but you know what it is? I'm hearing you speak. I'm listening to you speak, and you obviously put in a lot of work to get to this point. You came from a different, where you came from and where you are today is miles away, and that's hard to do. That's a lot of work you put in to find out what the truth is, and not everybody and most people, 99%, don't want to be bothered with that. They're not interested in that. They're looking after themselves. They don't want to. They don't want to know what the truth is. Except next thing you know, you turn into Europe. What's going through Europe now And they're afraid that, they don't, as you said, they don't want that to happen here.
What do you say to you're a Christian, I'm assuming?
I'm not really. Yeah. Yes, I am. But I'm also just sort of like atheist.
You're just like a person.
My religion is being a gay guy.
So what do you say let's just say to your community, the gay community? What do you say to them? Because they also...
Well, it's more of the queer community. I think a lot of gay guys just don't. The thing is, with social media, people can just look away and be like, I don't like this. I don't like you. Like, look away, block you, tune you out, denigrate you. It's all very nasty. But when you're actually there with people, it's harder to do that. But I think that, like, we should all just want the war to end and for the hostages to be released and for this to stop. Like, that's ultimately what everyone wants.
Just stop shooting at us. We'd be happy with that. Stop shooting at us.
No, I get it.
Stop killing us. Stop killing us. It's not so hard.
Yeah. My dad's an interrupter. I don't know.
It's okay.
You're surviving. You can handle yourself.
This is why people become anti-Zionist Jews.
Okay.
Interrupting Jewish dads.
He's sensitive. He's internally very sensitive.
Yeah.
But
I am.
So let's talk about something. You brought it up.
Yeah.
The queer community.
I don't know what their deal is.
But I said the gay community, and you said no, it's not the gay community. It's the queer community. Can you speak to that?
Yeah. So part of the demoralization of the left has been this sort of counterculture. Counterculture in general has just gone too far. Like, if you're at the point where you think that jihad and killing people and kidnapping people is somehow resistance, and you've bought into this narrative, there's something wrong with your moral compass. And they've been manipulated, and it's very sad. And it's usually purple hair girls. Like, I don't even think it's like people who are queer. It's people who are just very bizarre people. Like, this generation, they're weird. And they scare me, and I don't like it, and I don't want to be a part of it. And so I consider myself just a gay guy. I hang out with gay guys. That's my thing. Whatever is going on in the queer purple hair girl world, that's their thing. They love jihad, and that's fine, but that's not my scene. I'm over here with a nice, beautiful gay man. I think that there are gay guys who are also
I feel like I'm a nice, beautiful gay man, even though I'm married with kids.
Yeah,
that's fine. I think he gave you a compliment.
There are like some gay guys.
His brother was a very nice, beautiful gay man. Unfortunately, he passed away, but his brother was very
passed away. Yeah,
yeah.
Well, from HIV in 2000.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, I think there are some gay guys who are anti-Semitic because they've gotten hooked into Al Jazeera talking points, or they have a friend who's in Jewish Voices for Peace, or one of these anti-Zionist Jews. That's very big in New York. And I think that for some reason, people just, and also it's the Democratic leadership. It's Ilhan Omar and AOC and the stuff that they say. Like, I can't blame people who don't know about the Middle East and who have never met a Jewish person. If your leaders are constantly telling you Israel is committing war crimes, you're going to believe your leaders because they're Congress people, and you think that Congress people know what they're talking about. But no, like the fact that Hezbollah had been bombing Israel like since October, that doesn't matter. The fact that this attack with the pagers was targeted to Hezbollah militants, one of the most targeted attacks ever.
Operation Castration.
That doesn't matter. It's how dare you, Israel. There's something with people's brains where they're just like, when Jews are defending themselves, they're like, I want to kill the Jews so bad. Why won't we kill the Jews? Like, people are crazy. So unless we I think there has to be something where we like what I try to do in my videos is show all my friends in Tel Aviv, all these hot gay guys, like we have to show Israel and show like the really nice, wonderful, because Americans, I do believe that Americans like Jews. I think that if you think about the history of comedy, but the problem is the media and Hollywood is not on your side. Hollywood has abandoned the Jewish community. Hollywood has abandoned the Jewish story. Hollywood has abandoned really America. Like, I think that if there's a cultural shift, there needs to be, like, we need a Reagan era. Like, we need to all go to church and synagogue for a solid 10 years. This country is out of control. Like, we've got to rein this shit in. So if that movie, Matt Walsh's movie, does well.
Am I racist? It's doing very well.
If it does well and Hollywood sees that they can make money off of being more conservative, then hopefully, like, some positive, like, pro-America, pro-Israel stuff can get produced. But as of right now, Hollywood is run by morally bankrupt, selfish, stupid, awful people who don't want to risk losing any money, even if it means these nice Jewish kids are being, like, marked with weird, blue tags or whatever crazy shit. And, like, jihad is in the streets, like, whatever. They don't care. They don't want to risk losing money. And so until Hollywood sees that they can make money off of being pro-America, pro-Israel, and, that terrorism isn't chic and cool, then, like, it's just us in our Instagram Jewish echo chamber talking with each other.
Yeah, we talk in the finance world. That's our main space.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of other financial advisors that come up to me and said, "You're my main source of Israel information."
Yeah.
They said to me, and I was like, "What are you talking?" Like, blew me away.
Yeah.
That they're like, "I didn't know the conflict before I started." Like, and I'm like, "Our pod, like, what do you like?" We thought 2 people would listen to.
People have no idea how much misinformation is out there, because all this jihad, like, indoctrination has been in universities for 40 years. So every journalist out there has an anti-Israel bias. And by that, I mean Soviet propaganda that was created in the 60s to basically destroy the Soviet Union and get all the Jews, all the Jews out. All this propaganda about Israel being a colonialist state, the reversal of history, like, all of this stuff. Israel is the only successful indigenous rights movement. Like, Jews are indigenous to Judea. It's where they're from. So this is something that the world can't even really comprehend, because it's never happened before. That's why the idea of Zionism is such a threat to Arab colonialism and Arab conquest and the imperialism of the Islamists, because it is this little bastion of free Western society. And there are other groups of people who could benefit from that model, such as the Kurds, the Yazidis, the Berbers in Morocco, and also just a free Iran where Christians and Zoroastrians and Jews, where everyone can live together peacefully. It is a threat to Islamism. That's why Zionism is being so demonized. So this stuff is stuff that the public needs to know and understand, because it's about our survival, not just the Jews. Every single American, every single person living in the Americas and Europe who doesn't want to live under fucking Sharia law in 20 years or 30 years or 50 years, every single person needs to understand this. So yes, you're going to make money off of being pro-Israel if you want Western civilization to survive.
And I think what you said, there's 2 points. One is you're going to make money, not you're going to be given money. People want to, when they're working on business, they don't want to just be given handouts, like the whole thing with AIPAC. Oh, AIPAC gave them $100 million. That's why they're pro-Israel. No, you want people to make money, turn that into a business. The business of being pro-Israel is very, very powerful and very, very strong. That's sustainable.
And that's why Saudi Arabia wants to make peace with Israel.
Exactly,
Israel has
business.
Tech, and oil is going to be, like, obsolete in however many years. And we need tech. Israel has tech. So, okay. You hate Jews. I don't hate Jews. I like Jews. Let's make money together. Come on. We're good at that. Let's do business together. Unless, like, what do you want? You want Israel to, like, the entire, and also, hello, Christians. There's 2 billion Christians in the world. Do you understand, like, whatever idea of a Palestinian state, this is not going to be some bohemian paradise where everyone lives together peacefully. Okay. These people have been completely radicalized in mosques and in schools. Until there is a program of de-radicalization for people in Gaza and for people in the West Bank, they need an Arab partner to help them through this and get, like, they didn't do October 7th because they want their own nation. They want to destroy Israel. And this is never clearly explained in media and by the government. Okay. So, what was I going to say? Yeah. So this is going to.
You're saying that the Christians and everybody needs to stand up. This is why you're doing this.
Do you understand all of your holy sites where Jesus did not walk in Italy? He did not walk in Indiana. He only walked in one place, which is Israel. So if you want all your holy sites, the Sea of Galilee, all these places to be fucking destroyed by Islamists, and for 10 million people living in Israel to have to live under Sharia law, that is the Palestinian dream, okay? And it's not going to fucking happen, all right?
No way. You just have to look at what's happened in Europe to know what can happen here.
Yeah, well, people just need to snap out of it. Snap out of it.
I think
they're living in a delusion.
I think that's why the comedy circles have actually been very pro-Israel, in my opinion, that they've been very pro-Israel.
No, they haven't.
They haven't.
No,
so I don't
this entire country is so freaking demoralized. They're pussies. They're awful. And really, like, a lot of the anti-Israel propaganda has been targeted at the African-American community as well. And I think that a lot of people have equated the Palestinian struggle with the struggle of African Americans. And it's not true at all. It's completely made up. But that's the thing with jihadist propaganda. They get you to identify with the oppressors, to identify with the
Because
jihad.
If you want to find out the truth, you have to do the work. And most people are not willing or interested to do that. They're just going to take whatever anybody tells them and go and take it as what the truth is and go about their business.
And people have biases towards anti-Semitism is very powerful. And they have biases. If you can,
it's a natural path for them to be led down.
Jews are whatever the anti-Semitism is shape-shifting sort of hate. So that's why jihad is so effective, is that you make the Jews whatever you want to destroy and whatever you hate. So in Ireland, they've all become raging anti-Semites because they've equated the Palestinian struggle for like as if it's the struggle of the Irish against the British. All this stuff has been targeted and it's been building up for years and years.
Well, the Northern Irish have a huge amount of terrorism. They've been labeled across the world as terrorists. That actually makes a lot of sense. Two things for you, two questions and or comments. Question number one: you're a comedian. Can you give us a joke? That's one. But I'll prep you with the second question if you want to wait on the joke, but you don't have to. But I hope you indulge us. The second question is: you're a tough bastard. Like, you're like the real deal.
Yeah.
Where did this toughness come from? What was that defining moment, like that point in your life that taught you how to be so resilient?
Well, I've been through a lot in my life, and I think that that's something that like I share with Caroline Demore, who also was one of the people that spoke out after October 7th and sort of became an accidental activist. Like, we've both had really hard childhoods, and we're very, very empathetic people, and people where we just like I can't help but not, when I see an injustice, I can't not speak out. I just can't. Like, when I spoke out for the hostage, like every day I try to like do something for the hostage families, even if it's just one Instagram story. I just think that your life is so limited. We have such a short amount of time on the planet. I don't want to live in fear, and I don't want to live with regrets, and I don't want to live my life thinking that I could have said something when and was too afraid to say what was right. You know, when I realized what was happening and that this was part of a plan to take over the West, I remember being so activated in that moment and just realizing, okay, well, let's do it. Let's do whatever we can, because what else are we going to do? What else are we going to do?
Most people don't have that courage.
Yeah.
And we appreciate your courage. What
Thank
do
you.
you have your joke?
No, I'm not a jokey person.
All right, so you have one little tidbit. Can you give us a
No, just leave him. Yeah. Doesn't want it.
Someone once called me a bagel chaser.
That's good.
That I'm doing all this just to fuck Jewish guys. And you know what? See, when
You have to have your own motivation.
When you speak out against the Islamic Republic, there's these different, they pay influencers and they have bots. And so different like anti-Israel influencers, they get paid by the Islamic Republic. And I've had some of them come after me, and also just anti-Semitic people and Arabs.
Sure.
And just everyone who wants to hate the Jews. As soon as you defend Israel, you defend the Jews, you have a lot of people come at you.
You're a target. You make yourself a target.
So I just decided to embrace it. And whatever they say, they're like, you're just doing this for fame. And I'm like, yeah, okay, sure.
Is it working? Am I getting fame? Great.
Save the Jews.
Great. Am I getting it?
You're just doing this for Israeli dick. And I'm like, yeah, I am. I want to fuck all those IDF soldiers.
Is it working? Am I getting it?
I just embrace it. You know.
What else do I need to do?
I'm not a bagel chaser. I'm a hummus humper.
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
At that beautiful note.
Yeah.
Daniel, can you tell people how they can find you, how they can follow you?
My Instagram mainly, Daniel Ryan Spaulding. I have a company called Power Gay with some merch. And I'm going to, I'm writing a book, and I do stand up. So I do live shows as well.
We'd love to have you back when you finish your book.
Thank you.
Yeah. And help support it. And we'd love to buy a copy when you meet you. Yeah.
Yeah, you too.
And we really appreciate what you're doing. And on behalf of the
But stop saying for the Jews. You have to be like, it's for the whole free world.
I say it all the time that we're pro-humanity because that's really what we're fighting for.
Absolutely.
And so we really appreciate you fighting for humanity and being on the front lines while we're fighting for humanity.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing. And we appreciate your words. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing to meet you. I didn't know where this conversation was going to go. And I hope all you that are listening in can really take part of Daniel's story and stay with him and stay strong with him. So thank you, Dan.
And I have lots of other things. Like I lost 200 pounds. I was over 400 pounds.
Wow.
Great.
And I've gone through a lot in my life. So that's going to be in the book as well.
It's amazing.
But just remember, like standing with Israel is standing with God. You go against Israel, you go against God. Okay?
That's true.
That is just evil if you're not with Israel.
We're on board with that.
And the truth is right there. It's right there. And whether you love them or you hate them, there are Jews. There are Jews.
And that's it.
You can't have the free world without the Jews. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next one.
Yeah.